Talk about establishing patterns. We've now had 3 consecutive matches in this tournament where the team batting first have scored exactly 171. The first time it was defended just. The second time last night it was chased down easily. What's going to happen this time around? We've got 20 overs to find out and lots to analyze right here on Cricbuzz Live, brought to you in association with our fantasy partner, My 11th Circle. Let's just confirm that for you. We could have just stuck that template in and filled in different batsmen. 171 for 4 with Sanju Samson leading the way with 42 of 27 deliveries. Didn't hit too many boundaries, but he certainly was busy while he was out there. Started off with Jos Buttler, and if anything, Shivam Dube looked like he could have done with a much better strike rate to get them to what looked like a 190 type total when they were at the halfway point. In the company of Shaun Pollock and Joy Bhattacharjya. Shaun, it's not the worst total. We've seen the history in the last couple of days, but of course for much more.
Yeah, but that's the way it works, isn't it? I mean, if you had said to them at the start of the day's play, listen, we'll give you 171, they would have jumped at it. But then you get a little bit giddy when you see your team get off to a good start. You don't lose any wickets. You get to 90 in the 10 overs, and you think, okay, now we can really push on. And it was a combination of maybe not as destructive a hitting as we could have seen. The fact that maybe Miller didn't get to the crease at an early enough period to get himself in. But credit must also go to Bumrah. He once again showed us how unbelievable his skills are. His skill set that he can produce in the power plays in the middle overs and then at the back end is very good. He's got to be one of the top 3 death bowlers in the world. And he showed us those skills again and really meant that they just didn't get that 185 or 190 that they would have been happy with.
But, I mean, it's one thing, and we don't mean to be harsh on an up-and-coming youngster, Joy, but again, when a player gets stuck like Shivam Dube, he had a 6 towards the end of the innings, which made it look a little better. But otherwise, he was always at that 100, below 100 mark, strike rate-wise.
Yeah, he didn't manage to get away from it. And when they look at this, considering the position they are in, they need to play more desperate cricket. I definitely see David Miller has to bat ahead of him. I mean, David Miller is a great striker of the ball. He's an international cricketer. If you remember, I think it was 2013 or 13 it was, where he had an absolutely sensational season for Punjab. And he's the batsman who can play those kind of innings. And to not give him enough balls to do that one, I think is not a good idea. Moving on from that and staying in the same vein, not allowing Chris Morris to come in and playing Riyan Parag instead. Chris Morris is an experienced international batsman who knows how to play these final overs. He's also a finisher. Late order, he's more a bowler than a batsman, but he knows how to finish. He's played on this ground. To send in a youngster there, I think is unfair, both on Chris Morris and Riyan Parag.
And it's not that you don't have backup, Shaun. You had a Tewatia at the back. You've got Riyan Parag. If you've sent up David Miller, you've sent up Chris Morris. So it's not a feeling that, we went too top heavy. You're batting first. You need to go hard.
Yeah, you do. I think the struggle for Dube, and there's a lot of analysis that goes into the bowling at the back end of an innings and understanding the people you're coming up against. The art of a Yorker in many ways went out of the system for quite some time. And it was down to the people like A.B. de Villiers, Mr. 360. So 1 minute you'd go for Yorker and he'd try and hit you over extra cover. Then he'd get down and paddle you. Then he'd give himself some room. He'd walk across the stumps or give himself room and run it down to third man. Unfortunately, Dube's hitting at the back end is very one-dimensional. He stands in that same position every delivery, and as a bowler, your eyes light up because there's so many challenges that you normally have to deal with, and you normally have to deal with the different variations that the guys will try. Whereas him, in a case in point, is just, if I nail my Yorker, I'll get away with him hitting it straight down the ground and probably going for one. I think they only missed one Yorker to him, and that one disappeared. But he is very predictable as what he's going to deliver. And that's what makes it easier for those bowlers who have now worked really hard on those skills. So I think it's maybe a part of his game he's going to have to develop, just the ability to maybe walk across onto the off stump and maybe beat fine leg from time to time. Otherwise, it's going to be too easy for those guys who've become really good at their skills to be able to keep him quiet.
Yeah, not only did he not move around the crease and make the bowlers think, there were times he was actually rooted to the spot. And the host broadcaster did treat us to a couple of those little graphics where you had literally a box and he didn't budge from the box. But let's move on to the brilliance of Mumbai at times. Bumrah, again, outstanding. He kept Butler quiet early, did his job. and of course the wicket taker in Rahul Chahar, Joy.
Rahul Chahar has been absolutely fantastic. And, this is my point out here is that actually Rajasthan, other than, Dubey coming in, played their perfect game. They played their A game. That means they didn't give wickets up front. Buttler took opportunities whenever he could. Samson took opportunities whenever he could. Yashasvi Jaiswal supported them. They did everything right. Then what happens? Chahar comes in, controls the runs to a certain extent, gets them the wickets. Chahar has been so vital out there. And then right at the end, you have Trent Bolt and, absolutely amazing bowling from Jasprit Bumrah at the end. But look at that. I mean, 9 in the last few overs. If you look at it, 16 to 20, 45 for 2, 9. In that, Jasprit Bumrah has bowled 2 overs for 9 runs for a single wicket. So you take that away. In 3 overs, they're literally 36. 3 overs, 36. That's 12. You'll take that any day of the week. But it's Bumrah who's just completely gone and spoiled it towards the end. And that's the thing. That on a day when things are not going for them, they're not getting early wickets, they still have a Chahar in the middle who's getting them wickets. They still have a Bumrah and Bolt who are finishing powerfully for them. And that's what makes Mumbai such a formidable team for me.
Shaun, we touched briefly upon Rahul Chahar on Cricbuzz Combox, and just when we saw him picking up wickets at that crucial time, you had a point to make that was actually something one doesn't realize often enough, is the contrast between what happened earlier and what happened now.
Yeah, I mean, the point was that in the last seasons, what's always happened is Mumbai have had picked up 2 or maybe even 3 wickets in the first power play. Then he comes into the equation, and it's easy to build pressure in those situations because the guys are trying to find their feet. They can't really take risks. This year, we've showed at the start of the show that Mumbai haven't got off those flying starts. And once again, no wickets for them in the power play today. And then he comes into the equation. The first game we'll ignore. The second one, Kolkata 45 without loss. He comes on and picks up 4 for 27. Wonderful economy rate. And look at the overs he bowls, 9, 11, 15. Another example against Hyderabad. Another example today, none down, he comes in, picks up, and it's the important overs. And I think that's where he's progressed his game. That's where he's grown in confidence. That's where he's starting to really back his ability. And not only that, he's now earned the trust of Rohit Sharma. At the back end of the last tournament in Abu Dhabi and Dubai and Sharjah, he started to lose his way a little bit and lost a bit of confidence. But at the moment, he's full of confidence. And he's almost becoming like the Rashid Khan, where you say, okay, hold on, we've got to treat this guy with respect. We can't just go after him. In many ways, we might have to donate 4 overs to him and just make sure he doesn't do any damage. And that's a wonderful position for Mumbai to be in. One of their strategies, obviously the first 6 overs they try and control, and then they also look after Bolton at the back end. But one of their strategies is they like to keep Bumrah up their sleeve for as long as possible, so that there's a big over, automatically he comes into the equation just to negate that momentum. And Chahar is starting to be able to do that exact role for them as well. So that's a good sign in the middle overs when you often have to try and pull games back and try and blunt the attack of guys who've got themselves set.
Yeah, I think, we often talk about bowlers hunting in pairs, and generally we associate that with a pair of spinners or a pair of pace bowlers. But here, as Shaun pointed out, Joy, you've got Bumrah who does that job for you, but now Rohit Sharma has 2 different people he can turn to do the same job. Restrict, get respect, take wickets.
Yeah, Chahar has been absolutely fantastic. And see, again, Mumbai is a team. Just look at them. 2 years back, they had a young leg spinner called Mayank Markandeya, who was supposed to be the next leggy, the guy on the scene. Rahul Chahar is actually their second leggy. He's the guy who's, on the bench, while Mayank Markandeya is the first spinner if they're going to a leggy. He comes in there, he earns his position. He takes he takes the position from Markandeya. Markandeya is traded to Rajasthan. It's almost like it's a vote of confidence that you are our leggy, you are our number 1 bowler, it's yours, this position's yours, we were backing you in this. And that is something that Mumbai has consistently done with cricketers that they believe in. Whether it's a Bumrah, whether it's a Pandya. And if you look at Bumrah, it's not that Bumrah has always been good. He's shown promise, but he's not had these figures from 15-16 when he came on. This is also the result of backing him relentlessly over a long period of time and building him to that level where he's the cricketer he is today. And I think Rahul Chahar today is definitely, and if you look at the leggies and, the Indian team leggies, there's a lot of Kuldeep is not exactly in the best of form. Even Chahal is struggling at this point in time. I have to say, you look at that and wonder that Rahul Chahar has so far done a lot to get on to that plane, whichever, to the World Cup, wherever the World Cup's being held.
Well, it's very simple. If you get that boarding pass, you just have to change one letter on the name. It's not a problem. We tried to allude to it the other day. But one final point I'll make on Rahul Chahar, Shaun. We saw him try things like come in and bowl over the wicket, starting round the wicket between the umpire and do a little bit of trickery. It almost seems as if he's found so much confidence in his regular bowling that he doesn't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally agree with you. He's googly's landing. He's got the trajectory right. And he's getting his leggy to turn at times as well. And that's what you want. You sort of want your actual deliveries to be the ones that are causing the problems rather than your deception as to maybe what ideas you want to try and insert. He's always got that up the sleeve, and maybe as the tournament goes on, guys analyze him, they get an understanding and they know what to expect the second time they play him. Maybe they understand him a little bit better and he might have to try those things. But for now, he's going on those banker deliveries. And that's what Rashid Khan does, and does it so successfully.
This is also about the time on the show when we try and get a power play prediction, but that's only if we've got it wrong the first time around, and we didn't. 1 run away, Shaun Pollock, 170, played 171. Well done.
Yeah, I know. I was just a bit disappointed in that no ball in the last over. I'd calculated things just perfectly, and then that extra run. But anyway, I'll take it.
You'll take it. But what you still need to do is tell us if it's going to be blue all the way for the rest of the innings.
Yeah, I don't think 171 is enough, personally. I think with the change of conditions, I think it's going to be challenging for Rajasthan. And I think Mumbai have probably got the firepower that could probably knock this total off. We saw how comfortably it was chased down yesterday. I haven't seen anything on that surface that suggests that there's more turn or it's slowed up or it's untoward in any way. So I think after another roll, I think it's still going to be a good surface to bat on, and I would think the Mumbai get over the line.
Joy, you still stick with that? Doesn't seem like they've just put on enough.
They haven't played the desperate cricket.
Yeah,
I think what I'd like Rajasthan to see is I'd like to see them get a slip in early, and Sakaria naturally slants the ball across. Sometimes he can move it back. Sometimes he can move it just a little bit across. Attack, because look, 171, you're not going to defend. It's a very small ground. I don't think you're going to be able to defend it. They need wickets up front. And I'd like to see them at least attack for a while, because I can't see them any other way that they're going to get wickets.
Yeah, maybe Josh Butler will have whispered in the bowler's ears about the fact that he felt it was a little skiddier and slightly lower. So can they take advantage of that? Can Quinton de Kock get some form for Mumbai? A few questions to be answered. But the overall verdict is we feel it's still leaning blue at the moment. Can they find some pink paint from somewhere and change that equation? We'll find out where their progress is in the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox. And then, of course, we've got lots of busy times ahead with a game between Delhi and Kolkata later in the evening to talk about. That's all for now. This is Cricbuzz Live, brought to you in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle.